All right, welcome back, everybody. The Unofficial, again, emphasis on Unofficial Sage podcast. Doug Lewis, along with I'll call them trusty sidekicks, even though I report to them most of the time, Emily and Matt. Guys, this is going to be an exciting one. Honestly, this might be the sexiest episode we ever put out into
Oh
the
boy.
ethers.
Oh boy.
Ooh,
I know
accounting and sexy?
you
Did you
guys
just
know
compare the
where I'm
two?
going. I did, Emily, and I think you both know where I was going with that. We're talking product release notes. This
Oh
is,
boy.
yeah, yeah. Well, we should try that again. We'll re-record that. How about that, Matt? No. Let's keep it in. Let's keep that I'll call it semi-enthusiasm in there because
No,
that's
it's actually
great.
some cool stuff, right?
It is. It sounds boring. It is boring. It's technical, but you know what? It's pretty cool if you're in this world or thinking about jumping into the Sage world. So it's going to be pretty high level. We'll do our very best to stay out of the weeds as much as possible. I do need a promise from both of you on that. I know I'm good at that, but I don't know anything. So Matt, Emily, are we good to stay out of the weeds on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it very high level, and I'm gonna talk about the features that were released, but I think I'm gonna spend more time talking about the value that our customers will receive from these new releases.
I'm hoping to achieve the same thing, Emily. I've been told I'm long-winded at times. I guess maybe that's why I'm on a podcast, but it should be high level.
Good. Now that we're all in agreement, this will be hopefully educational and somewhat interesting, but we're got to go through it because it's important stuff. So what are we really going to hit? What are the product release notes? We're going to walk through some of the changes, the updates, the features, the enhancements, all that fun stuff. When we can expect some more of these, and at the end, we'll kind of leave it a little open ended, if you will. But I want to know kind of what everyone wants from the next release notes. So once we kind of go through all the stuff, we're going to hit. Listen again. What are they? The strength in the financials, some industry insights, the ease of use of these things, platform power. We're going to go through a little bit of everything. By the way, these are pretty comprehensive when they do come out, so we're going to hit it at a really high level like we hit here a moment ago. So, all right, Emily, I will turn it over to you. What are the product release notes? And before you jump in, let's go out on a limb here. All right, the three of us, I think we all know that I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm talking about at any given time. So please, as you explain this, explain it like I'm a 5-year-old.
Wait, so do
You
you
know,
know when's the first time you heard that saying?
boy, that might honestly been the U.S. version of The Office. When the
Oh,
accountants were explaining a surplus to Michael Scott, that might have been it for me.
mine was the movie Philadelphia. Denzel Washington, lawyer, Tom Hanks, and he goes, "Explain this to me like a 2-year-old." I think it was 2-year-old at the time, but I'm bringing it all the way back then, and maybe I'm sharing my age, at least in this audience.
Your age was shared long before that comment, I think. But Emily, why don't kick it off? Listen, what are these product release notes? Just kind of
Yes.
walk through really high level.
So high level, Sage really broke down these product release notes into four main categories. I think Doug, you mentioned all four. One of those being strengths in financials. So Sage Intacct, of course, is a best-in-class cloud-based accounting solution. So they really added some value into the financial statements, which we're going to go into a little bit of detail today. They've added some great power into industry insights, and this is in the nonprofit and construction space. So Matt has really great visibility and experience in nonprofits, and of course, my firm we work in construction, so I think we have some great pieces to talk through there. Ease of use. So Sage Intacct has been voted number one in ease of use and customer satisfaction year over year by its customers. So they've added some more power in the ease of use section. And then one I'm really excited to talk about, and that is platform power. So how is Sage Intacct changing their platform to benefit their customers?
And we hit it kind of at the beginning. We're going to go through some of these four sections piece by piece here. But product release notes, Emily, how often do these things really come out?
Yeah. So Sage Intacct releases feature function releases 4 times a year, so every quarter. And these are automatically pushed out to their customer base because Sage Intacct is a cloud based solution. So there is no downtime when these upgrades are being pushed out. And they're typically being pushed out at like 3 o'clock in the morning, hopefully when you're not working. But a couple recent examples of releases that I've been excited about is Sage Intacct released a Sage Intacct data flow in 2024, which we'll have a little bit more detail about that one. Sage also introduced Sage Intacct Payroll powered by ADP. So previously, Sage Intacct did not have a payroll capability. You always had to outsource your payroll. But now, since we've partnered with ADP, there's a pretty robust integration that a lot of my clients are taking advantage of. And then, as well as adding and updating features to AR, AP, inventory, etc.
And Matt, I know you would mention you're a little long-winded at times, which I don't think anybody would disagree with
I
whatsoever.
know.
Do you want to kind of touch on the first section, the really strengthened financials piece? Because I think that's something that's kind of up your alley and something that's near and dear to you.
Well, I think like any of us, we love reporting. We love to know the data that our organizations are telling us. And what I mean by that is, what is the story that the financials and the statistical information within our accounting products, our GL, our ERP, and I got a question real quick. We have this rule around if we use an acronym and we don't say it, the full
Explain it.
acronym,
Correct.
explain
Yep.
it, that we have to put $50 in. Now, if we've already explained it in a previous episode, do we have to explain it again? I just want clear, rules here.
So I think for me and Emily, no. For you, yes. Every single time.
No,
I think
no.
it's fair game.
Yeah,
If it's been
please
explained,
explain what a GL is.
We did GL last time, actually, and ERP last time.
Yes.
we did. No, you're safe. If we've explained the acronym before in the past, it's safe.
I just want to make sure, because we're still defining the rules of engagement in this game, and Doug will do anything to make me put as much of my money in this pot and as little of his as possible.
Yep, that's you've described the strategy to a T, so that's perfect. No, if we've explained it, you're in the clear. If we've never touched on an acronym before, ooh, big red flag coming up, 50 bones in the bucket.
There
Yeah,
we go.
and we're expecting our listeners to also make us accountable, right? Because we can only catch so much.
Fair.
Yes,
Fair?
we are really counting on our listeners to make Matt responsible. You're right, Emily.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Just
Matt.
Just Matt.
Thank you, both of you. Appreciate that. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that the data that is in your ERP, in your accounting system, allows you to tell a story, allows a story to be told to you in a lot of ways as an organization. And where Intacct has always succeeded and has been a leader in the industry really centers around the capability on the reporting side. Now, there's multitudes of reporting modules within Intacct, and this isn't all about the release notes. As I mentioned, and as Emily mentioned, we want to keep this high level, but I think it's important to understand the full ecosystem when we're talking about strength and financials. So within Intacct, you have the financial reporting, which is the baseline reporting everybody gets, and it is very capable. It is customizable. It allows for dimensional reports. And when I talk about dimensional reports, I mean across your departments and your classes, your projects, your contracts, any of those type of things. And we can get into more detail later on what all that means. But for the system, there's also interactive custom report writer, which allows you to go even further, which is kind of Intacct's version of Crystal Report Writer. And then you even have things like the interactive visual explorer, which allows for more graphical representation of your financial reporting. And this is why Intacct continues to be a leader when it comes to the reporting side. Before the release notes, and the thing that I was really excited to see come out was a investment, and what I believe will be a continued investment in the reporting around the project's capability, the project dimension. Projects is I think, one of the most sold add-ons to the core financials of Intacct. And it could be the project dimension only, from a project tracking to project costing to project tracking and billing, which is the full-on projects module. And again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but each one has a separate set of capabilities and is important to organizations, especially in the nonprofit world, professional services world, and even there's kind of a correlation on how projects work into CRE or construction real estate, which I'm going to let Emily jump into this a little bit just to make sure that we hit. But what the release notes, and it's minor from a user perspective. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a big shift or a big update to what reporting capabilities in the projects. And what it does is allows for a multi-project reporting capability. And if anybody understands how reporting works in from a software perspective, from a database perspective, is you kind of have objects that you're reporting against, and objects have to be cross-referencing to be able to query appropriately. And so what Intact has invested in is to bring some of those capabilities out of the interactive custom report writer, what you'd have to do custom, directly into the financial reports section of the reporting, bring it to general availability, meaning that anybody that uses it, that has Intact, can use it, which is pretty impactful and shows really where we're going from a roadmap on their financial reporting on the project side. I'm going to stop there and say, Emily, please throw in anything that you got.
Yeah. So I think a baseline intact reporting capabilities are just the standard, are phenomenal. You can get a lot of information out of our standard reports. And I think out of the box, Intact has over 100 different reports available to you right after you've gone live.
I think it's 142 or 144.
Right. A lot of financial and other type of reports are available to you. As far as the project piece of it, so just because of where I live, I'm in Louisiana, so we have a lot of project-based businesses. So we utilize the project capability often. Now, what we like to do with our clients is maybe start them with the basic project, and then move them up to project billing, project costing, because you definitely don't want to take on a lot at one time. You just want to get little pieces.
Yeah, there's that, and I want to just give a quick shout out to the nonprofit side. So what happens on nonprofit side is it turns into grant tracking and billing,
Mhm.
but it's still just the project dimension that's being used renamed. And so many nonprofits are using that project dimension or grant dimension for their federal and state grant tracking. The big difference in how Intact works versus, say, a QuickBooks or a lot of other products, and why Intact is the platinum uh, program for nonprofits, has to do with this module by itself, and why this reporting is so important. The fact of the matter is that most grants are not managed on the fiscal year that the organization is. So if a organization is a calendar year, but you have a federal grant that is on the federal year ending 9/30, it's a different fiscal year that you're reporting on. Other products don't have that same capability to truly track around the needs and that you run into with single audits, grant reporting, things of that nature, grant billing, and so forth.
So the
So
so
And
some of the other products, Matt, that don't have that specific feature, I mean, what can that lead to? From an implementer or a consultant standpoint, somebody who's actually managing those
Excel
type of
hell,
clients. There you
Excel
go.
hell, just
There you go.
relying on Excel every day. It's one of my first questions. I talk to a nonprofit. I'm like, how you doing those grants in Excel? Oh, do I have a solution for you?
yeah, I was working with a prospect the other day, and all of their grants are being held in a spreadsheet right now. And they showed me that spreadsheet, and they kept on scrolling, and they kept on scrolling. And it's this one guy who's putting in and tracking everything manually. It takes him a forever to do that.
And with the release note, let's think about this real quick. The difference between having to run one individual report for every grant or every project versus being able to run a one report with all the information for all your grants. It seems simple, but it's really impactful.
All right, so moving on, Matt. Listen, the reporting for projects is obviously a pretty key feature. What else has come out in the strength of financials portion of the release notes?
Yeah, so there's an increased capability around bank reconciliations and matching, and so bank integrations, which is all about automation and continuing to drive the efficiency of AI. So with automation of bank matching and the integration of bank connectors into Intact allows the system to automatically match up transactions from a bank feed to the transactions happening within Intact. So what we're seeing here with this release is an enhanced feature set of being able to bring that information, an increased number of banks that are being available, and just an overall continued investment into that component. If I'm being completely honest with where Intact is when it comes to their bank connection and feed component, it is not as successful as a QuickBooks. QuickBooks basically can connect to every bank, has a strong bank feed, has a strong bank match. It's been one of the things that Intact has lacked as a product for some time. And this is a great enhancement that we're going to see that's going to create additional capabilities and bring it closer to what kind of the SMB world would expect. Small business. How you thought you got me? Small business.
I was so close. I'm like, oh, son of a gun. All right, you're safe. No, he's good. He's good. Everybody.
What the SMB world is expecting when they're going to upgrade or migrate to a mid-market product. And quite frankly, Intact is really focused on kind of that higher end SMB market currently. And I think this is going to be a big opportunity to show and gain the trust of that client base.
I think I'd also like to add in, I think Matt was spot on. Sage Intacct can definitely reach out to your banks. It's very specific banks. It's normally the bigger ones. So you think your Capital One, your Chases, your whatever TD banks. They are working on adding in the rest of the banks. But this is a really great opportunity, and I just want to point it out for you to leverage AI in accounting.
Yep.
So if you think about your manual bank rec, you're just doing that very manual. This is a great opportunity for you to adapt some AI into your workflow, and really cut down on that manual work.
Absolutely. And what you said that I think is most impactful is they have bank feeds, Bank of America, PNC. You're spot on, but it's those regional, those local
Mhm.
banks that were not seen as successful of a bank feed historically, where I think this plays a role. And part of this is also enhancing the capabilities of the import of bank files. So even if the bank is not part of the network, we're able to bring in the bank transactions pretty easily from an import file and then use the matching capability, which has another great efficiency opportunity for whether it's outsourcing firms or internal accounting departments.
Mhm.
Shifting gears a little bit, kind of moving into the industry insights portion of the notes. Obviously, there's again a lot to go through. We're only picking off some of the really high level or key ones that we think are important to kind of walk through from a 10,000 foot overview. So donor perfect is obviously something we want to hit in a minute, Matt. I'll come back to you on that. But Emily, the construction enhancements in their most recent notes. Do you want to maybe just walk through that? Because I know that's kind of right up your alley. What you do, you live and breathe it. What's going on in that world?
Yeah, I switch between construction and healthcare quite often. But there are some really great construction enhancements out there. So, just a little background: Sage Intacct is relatively new to the construction space. They have Sage 300, which Sage 300 is very much a construction software, where Sage Intacct is adopting some of the functionality that Sage 300 had. So, I think Sage Intacct Construction is a great solution. I think if you're going to evaluate it, you need to evaluate it with the right partner so that they can help you walk through it to make sure it's the right solution for you. I'm just gonna kind of leave that there. As for what they're doing to the product, I think probably in every product release notes, we're going to see some construction enhancements just because, like I said, they're adding to it. They are constantly, innovating it. But in this release notes, Sage Intacct has added AR retainage to invoices. So now it includes project contract billing information. And this is really giving people visibility that they need.
So one of the things that I want to mention here, I'm not my firm is not a one of the licensed partners like Emily's firm, Eyes or Amper, for the CRE module and doing that. And there's only a very few select firms. Let's be very clear there. I don't know all the firms. Emily might know that. The reality, though, is that where Intact did not succeed for construction firms prior to the release of CRE, prior to any of the release notes that we're talking about here, but even before the core module happened, has everything to do with what is called work in progress or WIP in the construction world. And retainage and how retainage correlates back into work in progress. So what was happening in some instances is that we had partners out in the ecosystem that were kind of building their own, how do we want to put it, their own add-ons using platform services to try to achieve the necessary feature set to support the construction, but it wasn't really truly there. As Emily mentioned, Sage 300, which was I think the old Timberline, is that
Yep.
right, Emily?
Yep.
Well, it was is still a server-based product, and this is another movement into Intacct being the platform, or the feature platform, the flagship product of Sage. The addition of retainage into the AR module and being able to track that is key to what we call AIA invoicing in the construction world. And that AIA invoicing, and look, Doug's giving me this look, and no one, for those people that are listening, he's going, "This guy's getting into the weeds again here."
Yeah, I have at least kind of two.
I'm getting close to pulling you out of there, but
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
the point here is what I want to see, and what I'm hoping that these release notes continue to handle are these kind of nuanced aspects of what is required from AIA invoicing, which is in the Association Institute of Architects or something like that. Again, I
Yeah.
don't live in this space, and where that goes into certified payroll and things of that nature. And so, as we're looking to future release notes, I know that we're supposed to end with this. Those are the kind of things that I'm looking for to see how we continue, how Intacct continues to elevate the product and support the needs of the construction side.
Yeah, and you added an important piece, especially with the AI building billing, my gosh, and the certified payroll. So we have a couple different workarounds, if you would, for those aspects. I think probably every partner does, but I think you're right. If Sage can figure out how to integrate AI billing into Intacct, it's going to be a huge win for our construction clients.
So one of the things I wanted to mention was the fact that Sage also acquired CoreCon, a third-party product in the construction management side of things. Emily, what have you seen on that?
Yeah, I think the acquisition between Sage and CoreCon, it definitely added a lot of functionality that Sage was losing before. So CoreCon has turned into Sage Construction Management, also known as SCM. So we're really actually able to leverage the construction management side and Intacct and integrate the two. So your information that goes into your construction management software, um, like your progress billing, all that good stuff, can now be automatically moved over to Intacct, and this is really taking the place from people who are using like a Procore. I think Procore is a great solution. The only issue with Procore is that it's very expensive. So this is a relatively inexpensive option for people who are wanting to either move away from Procore or not even go that direction anyway and have automated, integrated financials.
Well, I think the key here and what we're talking about with AIA billing and certified payroll is that what CoreCon did was incorporate some of that components into their product, if I remember correctly. So that goes back into like what we're hoping to see from a release in the future around CRE and the construction capabilities within Intacct. Again, my knowledge is not like Emily's; it's just more from an outsourcing perspective and what construction firms have needed. Is kind of where I came from before I started my firm.
Yeah, and from an SCM piece, we really don't have that. Most of our clients have the Procore or the I think it's called Autodesk. But I am excited about another product that they have, and that is SCO, Sage Field Operations. So, this is a great solution for construction companies, but it's really my project-based businesses who need it. They need some sort of field service tool that their guys can go out and say they completed a project, they can take pictures, and Sage Field Operation is really that product that field operation people can use to have an integrated solution.
Tell me more. Is this do you see this as directly in competition with Service Titan, which was the go-to for service-based kind of blue collar trades organizations?
Yes, I definitely do. And the professional services, I'd say I use professional services loosely. Your field operation type of businesses, they're really going to benefit from this solution. And that's actually one of Sage's, at least one of my biggest focus is that vertical. I think Intact is a good space for it. And I think by them, developing and and integrating SFO, I think is a great place and puts them at a really competitive place in the market.
So I'm gonna try at least to pull us out of the semi weeds that we're starting to sink into a little bit. One piece though in the industry insights portion of the release notes, mentioned it at the top of this thing. Donor perfect. Matt, do you wanna
I
give that a little
Matt,
love?
I
Give
wanna
that.
I wanna first go in and ask you. So nonprofit is a big piece of your business.
yeah,
So like, do you have a percentage?
I think we're at 15 to 20% of our business is nonprofit. So it's probably the number one leading industry within our organization.
Mm-hmm.
Well, take it a
The
step further. Size of nonprofits that you generally tend
Yeah.
to work with.
oh
Just
man,
ballpark it.
I mean, we have our small nonprofits that are, million, 2 million, up to some nonprofits that are 100 million. I would say sweet spot ends in that kind of 5 to 15, 5 to 20 range in a lot of ways. We find that those are most, and I should say this, there's a difference between on the outsourcing side and the implementation side. So we range higher on the implementation side only, and we lean kind of smaller on the outsourcing side, as it just is kind of the natural way of things. I'm really excited about what the Donor Perfect partnership means for Intact in general. So I'm going to hit on the Donor Perfect thing. I'm actually going to be less detailed on this than I was on some of the other stuff because of
Perfect.
where I think this is going. Donor Perfect is basically a CRM or a customer relationship management product for donor-based nonprofits or 501c3s. Those nonprofits that are trying to get corporate giving or individual giving or board give gets, and they want to track who is giving them the money. They want to send out thank yous. They want to hit their list throughout the year and provide value added information about the organization and so forth. Uses this product, and it is a widely popular product. I've worked with Donor Perfect probably almost since the start of us working with nonprofits was probably somewhere in like 2008, 2009. So it's been around for quite some time. I
And
the
if our listeners, if you haven't picked out it, I know Matt has already said it, but nonprofits are one of Sage Intacct's biggest industries.
well, I'll go one step further. I would say Sage Intacct was built for nonprofits in a lot of ways.
But and I'll take it from there. But Sage Intacct does a great job of building a product that many people can use. So if you're nonprofit, if you're construction, if you're project, if you are hospitality, whatever you are, I think finding the right partner to work with you.
And please forgive me. What I meant was way back when it kind of started in that nonprofit place. It is so much more today. I mean, it is a leader in nonprofit, it is a leader in healthcare, it is a leader in professional services, family offices. Emily talks about construction. CRE is going to take this into a leader of construction. I could go on and on and on. Point being is that really the foundation of, call it 2012, 2013, 2014, what led up to the acquisition of Intact by Sage, it was really known in that nonprofit community first and foremost. I didn't mention SaaS. SaaS is another one where it is a
Yeah.
leader. In fact, quick note, when it comes to G2 Crowd and those, and what's the other one? Gartner, Sage
Trust
Intacct,
Radius.
Trust Radius, now Intact outperforms.
Now, who are these people that you're saying? For anyone who might not be aware with what these institutions actually
Now,
offer.
Doug, you know this, so you answer this question.
I do. But
Go ahead, take
And
it
when
home.
you
what?
actually know something,
It's not
we have
about
to allow
it's
you
not
to
about
talk.
me. It's
No, but
it's
It
not
is
about me,
about
Matt.
you. This
This is
whole
your
podcast
thought
is about
process.
you.
This is your thought process. Please just explain who they are. I want to make sure our listeners are not in the weeds like you.
All right. So basically, these are organizations that go and get customer reviews. They evaluate products and they assess where the products win in comparison to each other. So that way, as a buyer, you have insights into what the different feature sets are, what the different modules do and don't do, and then what the customers are saying of ease of use, ease of implementation, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
All
I like to compare it to the Amazon reviews of software.
there you go. There
Yes,
you go.
except the majority of
Trademark
these
that.
reviews, in theory, are legitimate and
They're
not paid for.
yeah, they are
So
they
Or
are
are
they.
AI
very
generated?
no,
Well,
yeah, ChatGPT. Yeah, though they are ethically gotten. I don't know the word I'm looking
It's
for there.
Sourced.
yes.
Sourced,
Ethically
ethically
sourced.
sourced. it's truly end users that go input put their negative or positive thoughts on these products.
So I was just going to say is that now Intact, as of earlier this year, is beating NetSuite in the SaaS industry, which I think is huge, a huge thing to talk about, especially in the competitive market that we're here.
I don't think you did it right. It's huge.
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 Man,
And we
I
won't
can't do it.
say who that is, impersonating.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time.
To bring this all the way back to where we started with Doing It Perfect, the reason I find this so interesting is what it means for the future, what I believe it means for the future. I had opportunity this week to talk to one of the individuals that focuses on or focused on this partnership with Donor Perfect. And so what we have here is Sage Intacct donor management powered by Donor Perfect. Just in the same way as Emily mentioned earlier on that we have Sage Intacct payroll powered by ADP. And what we're talking about here is they use the term gray labeling, where Intact is going out into the marketplace, finding the best in class solutions and partnering with them to bring a fully fledged software solution to the micro verticals, not just the nonprofit space, but when you talk about Donor Perfect, you're really talking about 501c3s. A 501c3 is a mission based nonprofit, unlike a 501c6, which is an association which wouldn't get really donors. So micro verticalizing the partnerships that they're having and turning the product into a true ERP. And what I mean by that is if you think about another episode that we talked about, ERP is an enterprise resource planning. And I didn't say that because I had to. I said it because it's important to this conversation. The enterprise resource planning really talked about historically being able to do everything. Well, the vision that we're seeing is that Sage is going, I don't need to be everything. I need to be a product that has really strong core, really strong set of certain modules, really great reporting. And then I'm going to partner with a Donor Perfect, with an ADP to do what they do best and bring it to the market. So I expect to see additional gray labeling. Almost every year, another gray label coming out.
I need to ask. I need to ask Matt.
Yep.
Throw it out. What are you hoping to see? Who are you thinking will be gray labeled next?
It's not the who, it's what micro vertical.
Okay. What?
And if I have anything to do with it, it'll be associations. So going into association management software and partnering up with one of them to gray label into that space.
Okay.
You heard it here, corporate Sage. That's what Matt needs. That's what Matt wants. That's what Matt's going to get.
No, it's not that I need it. I just, if I go back to what Sage focuses on, and I don't want to take away from the other industries, but I think the largest population of customers as a nonprofit, they're going to double down on where it is. So I just that's why I believe it's going in that place.
No, that makes all the sense in the world. Shockingly, it wasn't even boring. That explanation, which I like, and the gray labeling concept, in the technology space, isn't new. It's been around, of course, but I would also be interested to see what Sage is going to do from the acquisition standpoint. We've already talked about a few of their key acquisitions over the past couple episodes, and even on this one here. And that seems to be, still the primary strategy for growth in a lot of these technology entities or these conglomerates that are consolidating the best in class and doing what they do, bringing it under their umbrella. So, the gray labeling plus the acquisition space, I think Sage is going to continue to really, really type of, I don't want to say explode into some of the specific verticals like you were alluding to, but I think they're going to continue to drill down in doing what they do best and trying their very best from a technology standpoint, which is almost impossible, to keep it simple. That's what honestly I like about Sage. Their messaging doesn't get convoluted very often. They're very laser focused, and when you look at these verticals and their acquisitions and the partnerships they do, they're for a reason, which I can't say about all technology companies who simply just acquire everything that moves.
Well, what I've witnessed, what I think, I have no basis. No one said anything to me. Don't and I talk to enough people that sometimes I do know what I'm talking about. On this one, it feels to me like the acquisitions that Sage has made have been all centered around replicating capabilities that their historic core legacy software had a foothold in. We talked about Sage 300 and Timberline, and now investing in CRE and then the CoreCon acquisition. Makes a lot of sense because Intacct doesn't want to lose those customers that are at Timberline to go to another product. They want to at least maintain or convert. Now, if we look at the SDMO, which is the Sage Distribution and Manufacturing Operations, I think we talked about it last time. I actually
Yeah.
now memorize that acronym because I also found out that we're one of only 3 partners in Africa and Middle East that are authorized to sell that. Is if you look at the products in Africa, Middle East that they're trying to convert, which is Sage 300 there, which is a completely different Sage 300, just to confuse people, by the way, and Sage 200 Evolution, they're investing in what will maintain their base, and then it looks like what they're doing is partnering with those organizations that add capability that they don't have in their core function, and so that's what I feel is going on. Whether I'm right or not, we'll see.
Well, it's on record now, so there's no going back there, Matt.
Yeah.
I love that. You're
Well,
on record.
Even on the SDMO, there was an acquisition about a year ago of Bright Pearl, which was an inventory management product, and that sort of goes back into that distribution and everything else. So there seems to be a very strategic approach to what they're doing today around those acquisitions.
Speaking of strategic approach, let's try to get somewhat back on track here. So we're going through kind of the 4 core pieces of the release notes. What do we have left? We have ease of use and platform power, I think, are kind of the last 2 we haven't really hit too much. Emily, do you want to, let's shift into platform power. Do you want to kind of share some thoughts on what you interpreted out of the release notes there?
Yeah, there were 2 really main features that came out of R2 releases platform power, and that is a new REST API, and that's in beta, and then new lists, and that's also in beta. I do want to take a second to talk about the list views. So we as in myself and my colleague have been demoing the new list views in Intacct, and we have gotten so much great feedback from all of our prospects and all of our clients. Our people, whether our prospects or clients, are so excited about this feature because this feature is giving them the, I would almost say, QuickBooks functionality when it comes to list views. So you can now expand columns, you can move columns, you can filter columns. There's also a subset that comes out of the column, so you can have like 2 screens on one. It's a really great feature. But I think the most important piece of that is it's in beta right now.
So are
So
you telling me
say
this is like a visualization capability within the lists where you can sort of
Yeah,
like
I wish this is a podcast I wish I could show you. But yes, I'm trying to describe it. It's very much a visualization piece of it, and it's customizable. And it's available in all list views in Intacct. And
Now,
I think
when you say customizable, Emily, is that off the shelf customizable, or do you need a partner that really
nope,
understands how to do this thing?
it's off the shelf. So right now, anyone who is using Sage Intacct can go to a list view and activate beta, and their list views will change. So the previous list views are very stagnant and they're not really customizable, but these new ones are definitely offering a lot of functionality.
that's pretty cool because before it was like, okay, I want to see 20 on a page, or 500 on a page, and that was about as much. And then you could go to like the show details and add columns, but you couldn't actually put them in the order that you wanted to. That was most easily for you to sort of review and
Mhm.
navigate. So that's pretty interesting.
Right. So I think by Sage doing this, they're adding another superpower of Intacct because everyone uses list views,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
probably everyone uses it.
You can't not.
Um, you cannot use it. So I think this is really good. And then as far as another feature they added their REST API. So, I mean, APIs are just the way that systems talk to one another. So, Sage Intacct, of course, is a cloud-based system and it connects out to other systems by the use of APIs. So, by adding features and functionalities to their API, they've really made it easy to use, more easy to use, and it added more integration stability.
So what's interesting about this, and we don't have any of the answers here, is that there's Intacct API, and then there's what's called Sage Network. And Sage Network is an API in itself, but the concept is that it will be able to attach to any Sage product, which has some really interesting ramifications across the entire ecosystem of Sage products. But I believe this REST API is specific to Intacct. Is that correct, Emily?
Yeah, it's definitely specific to Intacct.
Cool. Okay.
And if Aaron Harris, if you're listening, I'd love for you to come on and talk about this API.
That's a good segue. I was going to end it with this, but hey, we're starting to fill out our roster of professionals and experts across the industry that we're bringing in, and we got some pretty exciting names coming up here. Over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, already booked up. So it's gonna be a good time. Stick along for the ride, I can promise you. Moving through, we'll kind of round things out here. The fourth pillar, the fourth real main zone, of the release notes, ease of use. Matt, do you want to just again do your very best, stay out of those weeds, high level? Do you want to cover what you feel all the listeners and anyone looking at Sage or involved in the Sage world should know about the ease of use portion of everything?
So it's interesting. There's two main ones I want to hit here, which is Intelligent Time or Sage Intelligent Time and the fixed assets. Really high level. Sage Intelligent Time has been around for quite some time. I didn't mean to do that, but it's been around for quite a while. And Sage Intelligent Time is now fully incorporated into Intacct. It's fully incorporated as the Intacct Time, where prior to this release, it was a kind of add-on. You would configure and implement it separately and then tie it into Intacct, where now it is the Intacct.
So it's native. It's native now.
It is native. Actually, part of the release note says that I think it's sometime in July or August, they're talking about completely decommissioning the set-aside Sage Intacct Time or Sage Intelligent Time. So that's a pretty big move from time management and how that goes back to our conversations and project tracking and how that goes into the use. And then it has AI capability. It's a really, really interesting product. And when I say interesting, really capable, adds a ton of features into Intacct in the core, but it's the same features that you're used to from Sage Intelligent Time. Fixed asset side, I look at, and what I found really interesting was incorporating the ability to enter fixed assets into from the AP module, so that basically you could sit there and say this is a fixed asset. It goes into the fixed asset module straight from AP,
and Matt, not to stop you there, but
right.
Can you clarify what fixed asset module you're talking about? Is it Sage Intacct fixed assets or fixed asset management?
So there's, to my knowledge, unless you know something I don't know, Emily, there is the fixed asset module that you can buy as an add-on to Sage, and this sort of connects the AP module of Intacct to the fixed asset module that you typically purchase as a standalone product. So the fixed asset module that Sage has integrates with Sage, but is technically a standalone product that you can buy by itself as well.
Okay. And just to leverage, there's a couple different fixed asset solutions that Sage offers. There's an on-prem one. There's two inside of Intacct. One is a lot newer, so I'm not sure which one we're referring to here. There's Sage Fixed Assets, which is a little bit older. And there's a new one, Sage Fixed Assets Management, and there's some limitations when it comes to that one.
Yep. And I'll be honest, I'm not as familiar with the newer one because that just got released at the conference, right?
Yeah, I've sold it, and like I said, there's some limitations when it comes to the type of depreciation you can do and the amount of fixed assets, but you need to work with your partner to understand what those limitations are, and which solution might be best for you.
I'm sure my team knows. I just
Yeah.
But that being said, I want to keep it kind of quick on that stuff. It's pretty generic in a lot of ways, and no reason to get too deep in.
I love that. You're learning already. No reason to get too deep in. So I think that covers just pretty high level some of these release notes. Again, they're coming up. Emily hit it at the top of this thing. When we can expect some of the next ones, how often to see them as they come through. We'll do this again. I can promise everybody this was one of the most technical episodes you will ever hear coming from us. So we're going to get into some pretty interesting pieces coming up. Over the next few, we got some guests coming on board. It's going to be a little bit more of a party. Let's put it that way. It's going to get wild.
Why don't we have one technical one every quarter? Because they release it every quarter.
Yeah,
Well,
it could be
Matt,
whatever.
you really know how to rain on a parade, and I love that about you. Now, we are going to have some more technical. This is the most technical to date, so it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. It's going to be a fun time coming up here in the next couple episodes. But to cap this one here, I didn't have a stupid dad joke prepared, but let's roll with one. Ooh, okay. What kind of breakfast food travels well?
This is a dad joke because this is wide open at this point. Let's see
Yeah,
here.
you just knew this one. That's what is upsetting to
Or
begin with.
or scary.
Yeah. Um, burrito. I'm bad at these.
A burrito's a good breakfast food that travels well. Okay, Matt, you have a guess?
I mean, this is not funny, so it's not the answer, but it's cereal. I mean, it's cereal.
You're right. It wasn't funny and wasn't the answer. It's
Right about
a-
something.
a plain bagel.
Oh.
Boom.
I am in New York right now, which, as everyone knows, I'm from Louisiana, and their bagels here are so good.
I do like a good bagel.
They're so good.
Oh boy. Well, that was exciting. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So we can wrap it there for our listeners' sake. For everybody, tune in again next week. Thank you for listening for the unofficial emphasis on unofficial Sage podcast, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everybody.